Hey everybody, welcome to episode 2 of the Pillars to Health series. Today we're going to be sticking with the environmental pillar, and today we're going to talk about water. So this last episode was all about mold, and I think that message is really important for the people that have mold. I think it's definitely important to check that you don't have mold in your environment. But today's episode is for everybody. We're all exposed to water. We're using water just to drink, to cook with, but also to bathe with. So it's something that none of us are getting away from. So it's really important that we make sure we optimize water in our environment. And again, just a side note, this is not a video about health hacks. This is a video about how can we lower our overall toxic burden. There are plenty of health hacks out there, and I think they have their place. They're great, but that's not what this video is for. I would like to point out one other thing before we get into this video, and it's a recurring theme with toxicity. Typically, we are not getting humongous one-time exposures that are, just way out of the safe and legal limit. Typically, that's not the case, at least not in the United States. There are definitely outliers, but I think what is more widespread, what we're typically exposed to, are these micro exposures to lots of different chemicals. So yes, some of the levels of chemicals, toxins, etc. in our water supply may be safe in one sample or dose, but in the case of water, we're getting exposed to water all the time. So we're getting a lot more than just one dose. We're getting it throughout the day. We're getting it every day. So now what does that affect? Where are all those micro exposures over time adding up to? And should we be worried about that? Is it safe legally? Sure. And that's a really common pushback from those that oppose my viewpoint here. And they'll say, well, that exposure is so small, it's never been found to be harmful. There's nothing we should worry about. Maybe so. But how about when we are, constantly drinking water, we're cooking in water, we're bathing in water, we're brushing our teeth, we're getting exposed to this stuff all the time, every day. And over time, I do think that accumulates, and it's something that we should take into account because it's not just water. There are other toxins too. There are other things that we're being bombarded with. And when we think about toxic burden, it's not just, what is our total level of exposure? It's also what is our body able to handle and eliminate. So, everything put together, if we can lower our exposures, then we might be able to avoid this problem altogether. So, all that to say, this is a small change, but I think over time, this could make a pretty big difference. So back to water, and thankfully here where I'm at in Kansas City, I have access to clean water from the city by industry standards. However, we do know that even clean water can have some of these contaminants in it, like chemicals, toxins, medications that have been flushed. Sometimes those aren't getting completely cleared out, or they're at really small levels, but again, that can matter. And then if we could even go on, we could think about our infrastructure, and I'm sure some of you guys have seen the pictures of some of the really dirty pipes that could be housing your tap water. So a resource that I love to use is the Tap Water Guide by the EWG, the Environmental Working Group. And basically what you can do, you can go to this website, I'll show you here. You can type in your zip code, your city, you can find your local water supply. And then from there, it's going to tell you all the different contaminants that have been found in that water. And then what's really cool is that they also give you a helpful guide to help you determine what water filter will best filter out those contaminants. And they have all different price points, all different goals. If you want one that's just a pitcher, they have those options. If you want one under sink, or if you even want a whole house water filter, you can look into those options as well. But I like this because it's a little bit more specific. It makes it a little bit more real because you get to see your local water supply and what's in it. Now, filter-wise, there's a lot of different options, a lot of different price points. There's carbon, reverse osmosis with remineralization. All those are great. At the end of the day, your living situation matters as well. If you're in an apartment or a house, if you're on a well, all that stuff needs to be taken into account. But that is a great guide to see how far you want to go into it. I do recommend, if you want a water filter, the AquaTrue is a great brand. I'm not affiliated, but they do seem to get out a lot of contaminants, fluoride, chloride, chemicals, all these things that we find in our water supply. I also mentioned that we bathe in water too, and I would be sorely mistaken if I left this out because this has made a huge difference in my life. Shower filters are becoming a little bit more common, and I'm not talking about shower heads, I mean actual shower filter. I stumbled upon this a few years ago, and I'm not kidding. I spent $60 on a shower filter, and it was the best $60 I ever spent. My hair didn't feel so brittle and dry. My skin felt great. It wouldn't dry out nearly as quick. I think I smelled better. All from a $60 shower filter. And all I looked up was vitamin C shower filter. It helps filter out the chlorine and some of the harsh chemicals. But again, huge difference. You know, you're sitting in the shower for who knows how long. Some of that is being absorbed, though a small amount. But again, we're doing this multiple times a day, I hope, or at least daily. So again, that exposure over time can be quite big. Last thing I want to address, because I know I'm going to be asked, is how much water should I be drinking per day? And this is different for everybody. 8 glasses a day, you know, whatever, that's fine. But I think a more specific way that you can formulate this answer is taking your body weight, split it in half in ounces, and then there are certain things that will make you absorb more or less water, need more or less water, like exercise, caffeine intake, what's your salt intake, that will help you absorb that water a lot better. So half your body weight in ounces of water per day, and then depending on your activity level or your caffeine intake, sodium intake, you might up or down that. But that is all I wanted to cover in today's video. I intend for these to be pretty short, so hopefully I can keep your attention span. But I hope you found it as a good resource. I will link some of those resources I talked about in the beginning in the show notes, just in case you want to follow up on those. And then if you did find this video as a good resource, please like, share, show your friends. I really would appreciate it.